Welcome to tkavanaugh.com. I'm Tom Cavanaugh, bringing you today's podcast, which focuses on the recent loss of law enforcement officers in the line of duty. With over 35 years in public safety, including roles in the United States Coast Guard, a deputy sheriff, a dispatcher, a corrections officer, a director of a 911 public safety answering point, I've dedicated my career to supporting first responders. Having experienced the challenges firsthand and having friends and coworkers affected by officer down calls, I understand the gravity of these situations. I'm proud to have served and equally proud of my sons who followed in my footsteps. Join me today as we delve into this important topic on our podcast. In Boise, Idaho, at about 9 p.m. on Saturday, April 20th, a young deputy with the Idaho County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Sheriff Tobin Bolter, made a traffic stop. As he approached the subject vehicle, the driver opened fire on him and fled the scene. A witness called 911 and performed CPR on the deputy. A short time later, the subject was located. As the officers attempted to take him into custody, he opened fire on them. The officers returned fire, shooting and killing the subject. It was the following day at about 10 a.m. on April 21st, the young deputy succumbed to his injuries. Although new to the Idaho County Sheriff's Department, he'd been there a few months. He had previously served for 7 years at the Meridian Police Department and the Pleasant Hill Police Department. His end of watch was April 21st, 2024. In Chicago, at about 2:55 a.m., Officer Hosaka from the Chicago Police Department was on his way home at the end of his shift, driving his private vehicle. Officer Hosaka was shot and killed on his way home. Responding officers located Officer Hosaka found him suffering from gunshot wounds. Although he was still in uniform, his gun, badge, and private vehicle had been stolen. The officer succumbed to his wounds at the University Medical Center. He was a 6-year veteran of the Chicago Police Department. He's survived by his mother and his uncle. The subject has not been located. End of watch, Sunday, April 21st, 2024. On April 23rd, at about 9:30 a.m., investigator John Hampton Kodu III with the Harris County Sheriff's Department was sent to assist with a traffic accident, just a minor traffic accident. As he was out of his vehicle to assist in the investigation, a truck swerved to avoid hitting a patrol vehicle. The vehicle swerved and struck investigator Kodu in the median. He succumbed to his injuries at Harmon Medical Center. The investigator is a 20-year veteran with the Harris County Sheriff's Department. And he's also an Army veteran. He's survived by his wife and his mother. End of watch, April 23rd, 2024. On April 24th, 2024, Officer Hicks with the Corpus Christi Police Department in Corpus Christi, Texas, succumbed to gunshot wounds he received while investigating a domestic disturbance 4 days earlier. On that day, April 20th, 2024, at about 12:30 a.m., Officer Hicks and another officer arrived at a domestic disturbance. A male subject answered the door. A struggle ensued and Officer Hicks was shot. The other officer returned fire, killing the subject. Officer Hicks had been with the Corpus Christi, Texas Police Department for 2 years. He's survived by a wife and 4 children. watch, April 24th, 2024. On Friday, April 26th, 2024, Sergeant Ian Taylor was working an overtime shift in a construction zone, helping to guide traffic through the construction zone. While assisting a tractor trailer pass through, he was struck by an excavator. He was then transported to Leahy Hospital and Medical Center, where he later died from his injuries. Sergeant Taylor served with the Billerica Police Department for 13 years, having previously served for 8 years with the Lawrence Police Department. His wife and 3 children survived Sergeant Taylor. His father was also a police officer. He's a retired detective from the Lawrence Police Department. His brother is also a police detective. End of watch, Friday, April 26, 2024. On the afternoon of April 27, 2024, shortly after 1 p.m., Officer Croxton initiated a traffic stop on a busy U.S. Highway 167. That's a location familiar to many locals in the area. As Officer Croxton was speaking with the driver of the vehicle that he had stopped, his patrol truck was struck by a tractor trailer. It then struck Officer Croxton and the other vehicle. The officer was transported to a local hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Now listen carefully to this part. Officer Croxton's father, Sergeant Raymond Croxton, was killed in the line of duty on May 23, 1978, when he was involved in a motor vehicle accident during the pursuit. His father was serving with the Rushton Police Department at the time of his death. End of watch, April 27, 2024. As we get into this next part, it's a single incident that happened in North Carolina on April 29, 2024 at about 1:30 p.m. Members of the U.S. Marshal Carolina's Regional Fugitive Task Force were attempting to serve a felony warrant for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The wanted subject ambushed them with a high-powered rifle and engaged them in a prolonged gun battle. Investigator Sam Polchi, Investigator Alden Elliott, Deputy U.S. Marshal Thomas Weeks, and Officer Josh Iyer with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department were all killed as a result of this incident. The first 3 died at the scene. Officer Iyer succumbed to his wounds several hours later. In addition, there were 3 officers with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department and a second Deputy United States Marshal were also wounded. The wanted subject was shot and killed at the scene, and 2 subjects were taken into custody for questioning. I'm going to go into each one of the officers now so they are remembered individually. First one, Police Officer Joshua Iyer with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. He had served with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for 6 years and was Officer of the Month for April of 2024. He's survived by his wife and a 3-year-old son. His end of watch is April 29th, 2024. Also killed was Investigator Polchi. He had served with the North Carolina Department of Adult Corrections for 14 years and was assigned to Special Operations and Intelligence Unit. He's survived by his wife and 2 children. End of watch, April 29, 2024. Investigator Elliott, also known as Alden, had served with the North Carolina Department of Adult Correction for 14 years and was assigned to the Special Operations and Intelligence Unit. He's survived by a wife and child. End of watch, April 29, 2024. Deputy Marshal Thomas M. Weeks. He'd served as a Deputy U.S. Marshal with the United States Department of Justice, United States Marshal Service for 13 years, and previously served with the United States Department of Homeland Security, Customs and Border Protection for 8 years. He's survived by a wife and 4 children. End of watch, Monday, April 29, 2024. In the last 10 days of April, 10 officers tragically lost their lives while on duty. These officers were not just law enforcers, but pillars of their communities, serving as fathers, brothers, sons, husbands, neighbors, and friends. Moreover, the year 2024 has seen a notable increase in officer fatalities, with 55 officers having already sacrificed their lives in the line of duty. This marks a 22% rise compared to previous years, highlighting the challenges and risks faced by those who bravely serve and protect our communities. There are many reasons why people become law enforcement officers. Some of the more common reasons include a sense of duty. They have a deep-seated desire to serve their communities and contribute to the public safety. Some have a desire to help others. Most of them have a desire to help others. Police officers often have a strong empathy and desire to help people in need. They want to be there for others during their emergencies, crises, and challenging situations. In addition, for some, it's a family tradition. In some cases, individuals come from families with a tradition of law enforcement, and they are inspired to follow in the footsteps of their relatives who have served as police officers. I would encourage you to take a moment and reflect on these officers that have given their lives for the good of the public safety. Think of the children that they've left behind and the loved ones who now have that loss to deal with. Think of their co-workers, their fellow police officers who will struggle with the loss, the dispatchers who sent them on a call that they never returned from. Their spouse that sent them off to work and they never came home. The children that'll grow up without a father or a mother. These men and women who serve are the heroes of our communities. Thank you for your time.